Yeah, intermittent fasting definitely helps you lose weight, but that's not why I do it. So, I get many questions on my Instagram about a lot of things concerning VSG. And I recently got a question about why do I intermittent fast since I've had VSG. Like, why do I do that? I've already had help per se with weight loss. And while it's true that intermittent fasting definitely can assist you with weight loss, that's not my reason for doing it at all, to be totally honest. In another video, I'll explain exactly which form of intermittent fasting I use and what it is per se, but I really think it's important to address why I choose to follow an intermittent fasting lifestyle. I've been doing this and I'm tired of saying intermittent fasting, so I'll just call it IF. But I've been doing IF since about 2 months post-op, and I did it prior to prior to having VSG, but I wasn't really having that much success with it. Now, I wasn't having much success with it because I was doing it wrong, and I will get into exactly what I mean by that in another video. But there is a huge misconception about exactly what intermittent fasting is. So my point in this video, however, is why I chose to try it again. So when I found out, I did more research on it, and I found out all the wonderful benefits to it. One of the biggest draws for me was the fact that it basically assisted or aided in the development of a consistent habit. And that is something that I think I struggle with the most. That is something I know I struggle with the most: consistency. I, across the board in many areas of my life, have never consistently done anything, many of which I've wanted to do, but for one reason or another, I've just never stuck to it. I've never stuck to hardly anything. And of course, there are things that I can make myself stick to, but when it came to eating, no ma'am. Your girl want to eat around the clock. Always have. From sun up to sundown, in the middle of the night, in the middle of a rainstorm, a hailstorm, a tornado, a thunderstorm. I don't care. I always wanted to eat. And I unfortunately was in a position to where I was able to eat around the clock at work, at a previous job I had, my last job. I was there for approximately 3 years, and in this particular role, it was actually part of my job to eat, go figure. And so I literally ate around the clock. I ate from the time I woke up in the mornings until the time I went to bed at night. And there was hardly any stopping in between. That has always bothered me. I would eat when I was happy, I would eat when I was sad, I would eat when I was bored. And I think out of all of the areas that bothered me the most was definitely eating when I was bored. I would even think, like, why am I eating this? Why can I just not leave this stuff alone? I'm not even hungry. I'm just bored. But it was just something, I don't know if it was like an oral fixation. I always had to put something to my mouth because I was never a smoker, but I do know that a lot of smokers, do have like an oral fixation. So once they stop smoking, they usually pick up an eating habit. Well, I was never a smoker, so it was always eating habits for me. So needless to say, it would bother me when I was eating for no apparent reason. And I know that eating out of emotional reasons is just as bad as eating out of boredom. But for me, it just became a way of life, and I hated that. So I decided to try intermittent fasting to help me learn self-discipline, to instill self-discipline within myself. I wanted to prove to myself that I did not have to eat from sunup to sundown. And so, in conjunction with the aid of my new tool, my tiny tummy now, I decided to push it even further. And the thing is, I've been reading on different forums and a part of different groups that I'm in about how some people feel as if they still struggle with eating when they're bored, or they still feel like they're eating too much even post-op. And I personally think it has a lot to do with the fact that even though you're eating smaller amounts, you're probably still eating in the same intervals that you were eating before. So what I decided to do was, in conjunction with now only being able to eat smaller amounts, I wanted to also minimize how often or the window with which I was eating. So before, like I said, I would wake up, do everything I needed to do to get ready for work. If I didn't have some BS in my freezer or didn't wake up early enough to make breakfast, which was seldom, or have some frozen crap in my freezer to grab or fridge to grab, I would be late to work because I had to get me something to eat. I didn't care. I'm going to be late to work to get me some grub. And then I would get to work and put my spread on my desk, and I'm eating, while I'm setting up for work and all of that good stuff. And then it was just throughout the day, different food is being brought into me, or I'm having to go to this particular food related conference, or somebody made something and they just want you to taste it. So it was just all I did. And so when I would leave work, it was the same thing. I probably got a snack on the ride home, and I lived like 10-15 minutes away from my job. I know that's bad. And so I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to prove to myself that, look, okay, you can eat smaller amounts now, but you also don't have to eat as much. Like, let's fix that. So that's why I decided to practice or incorporate intermittent fasting as a way of life for me now. Do I do it every single day? For the most part, yeah. There, of course, are days where, like, if I don't know, we go out to breakfast early, or I have a breakfast meeting or something with someone, then yeah, I'll make an exception. But honestly, ever since 2 months post-op, I would say a good 98% of the time now, I skip breakfast. And it's out of habit. I do occasionally track it in an app. I love to see, just how many hours I've went fasting, but I don't even have to use the app sometimes, and occasionally I won't. It's just like second nature to me now. Rarely do I wake up hungry. Occasionally I do, but rarely do I wake up hungry. And I can easily go out, because usually now my days are very, very long since I have so much to do. So most mornings I'm up by like 5:45, and I usually don't go to sleep till 11:30, close to midnight maybe. So from 5:45 a.m. until about, sometimes I may not eat until like pretty late. Maybe I might not have my first meal till like 12, 1, or 2. And it's just second nature to me now. And I love it. I love knowing that I don't constantly have to be feeding my face. I love that. It makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Am I perfect? Of course not. Will I ever be perfect? Of course not. Am I trying to be perfect? Hell no. I don't want to be perfect. But I do want to prove to myself that I can be better. And so that is in a nutshell why I really focus on intermittent fasting now as a tool to develop consistency, because that is an area in my life where I feel like I struggle the most. So if you practice intermittent fasting for other reasons than weight loss, feel free to share those below. I would love to know why, because like I stated, most people automatically assume that when you are intermittent fasting, it's specifically for weight loss. And while that is an aid, that is not my primary focus or purpose for utilizing it at all. Anyway, also, if you haven't done so, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you can keep up with me and my posts. And I will talk to you next time.